All right, I think we can get started here. And hopefully Commissioner Hill can join online soon. If not, we do have a quorum. We have what we need to have our meeting. Before I begin tonight, I would ask that we take just a moment of silence and honor and memory of our fallen deputy, Elijah Ming, if we could do that now. Thank you very much. And before I call our meeting to order, I would announce that some committee members, staff, and our public are attending remotely by Zoom. And some are on site, and all participants joining by phone, please mute your phones when you're not speaking to avoid background noise. During the meeting, make sure you announce yourself by name and title when you speak so that the public who's viewing knows who is speaking. And be sure to speak directly into a microphone, which I will do right now. I think that I've had a few comments of late that folks trying to watch online have had trouble hearing. So I just want to reiterate, speaking directly into a microphone. The public's allowed to participate by Zoom or submit comments by email prior to our meeting, and those are included in the record of our meeting. The public can also indicate their intent to provide remote public comment by contacting our clerk's office by noon on the day of the meeting, and also have an opportunity to provide brief comments either by phone or Zoom or here from the fifth floor conference room. During the meeting, make sure you announce yourself by name and title when you speak so that the public knows who's speaking. And this is critical given the number of remote participants that are potential, and also it's guidance from our Kansas Attorney General. If public comments are allowed on an agenda item, those comments should be limited to that topic. Disruptive comments or behavior is not permitted and may result in a removal from our meeting. And now I would like to call our meeting of Administration and Human Services Standing Committee for today, Monday, July 28, 2025 to order, please, and have the clerk call the roll.
Roll call. Hill. Davis.
Here.
Ramirez.
Here.
Kane. Here. Bynum.
Here. Clerk, are there any revisions on our agenda tonight?
There are no revisions.
And we have minutes from April 22, 2024 and May 20, 24.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Davis.
Aye.
Ramirez.
Aye.
Kane. Bynum.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. We have several items tonight. The first one is approval of transit drug and alcohol policy changes. Renee Ramirez, please.
Thank you, Commissioner. Renee Ramirez, Director of Human Resources. This evening, I have several members of the HR team with me, as well as Desiree Bush, the Transit Director. The agenda for this short presentation is to review the Federal Transit Authority, the FTA audit review, overview of some policy changes, and then any questions that you have for us. But I do want to state that the changes that are taking place on our policy came out of the necessity from an audit that was conducted by the Department of Transportation, the Federal Transit Authority, and they are required by federal law. So we have a timeline of the audit that we went through. It began in September of 2024, where the KCATA notified us of the audit. And we worked with the Transit Administration, the Director, and HR on the drug and alcohol program. They do have a policy in the HR guide 7.4A. In October, the actual audit was conducted. They conducted interviews. They watched collections take place. They interviewed our third parties who do the collection site, the collections of the drug and alcohol program for us as well. And then November, they came back with some corrections and what we needed to do. The areas that they audited was, again, the 7.4A policy listed in the Human Resources Guide, They talked about the drug and alcohol program manager information, which that is considered the DER, which is the designated employer rep. Our records management information, the breath alcohol technician who collects for the UG, and the urine collections. The audit report did identify some areas that we needed to make corrections, and I won't go through all of them here, but there were like 11 policy items, the drug and alcohol program manager items we needed to tweak, and just some things that the technicians needed to tweak. So from that, we made those corrections to the policy. Our TPAs made the corrections necessary that they needed to create. Most of the corrections that we had to do were corrections. They were minor corrections. Many were wording changes, clarifying language, and minor process changes that needed to take place. I will reference that the audit also never tells you how good you're performing. It's just the areas that you need to correct. So the policy changes overview, again, there were 11 categories of changes. There were no major changes to the policy. Notable changes were for us to add the oral fluid as a DOT-approved specimen, and then remove the reference to any collection of blood when we're collecting. And I will state that even though the federal agency identifies that the oral fluid is approved by the DOT for collection, there is no laboratory in the United States that's certified to test the oral swabs at this time. So we are unable to actually even proceed to oral swabs, even though the federal regulations state that it is acceptable. Again, most of the language was just clarifying languages and adding, just making some corrections to that. The FTA has approved all the submitted policy edits that we provided them with. We now are required as a unified government to close out the FTA audit. We've sent them the proof of our policy acceptance. We've sent them a clean policy. They didn't want a red line policy. And we now have to send proof of the policy distribution to our employees. And we now have a deadline of September the 16th of 2025 to show them that we've complied to close out the audit. And when I talk about the FTA, we're talking about a small group of employees that are just, they work for the transit department under Desiree. So this evening, this is why we are asking for this policy to be pushed through for the full commission. Again, these are changes that we're required to make due to the federal audit that came through. And we're asking for this to go to full commission for approval so we can meet our September 16th deadline.
Thank you, Renee. Questions? Okay, Commissioner Ramirez.
Thank you, Renee, and thank you, Desiree, and to the team for bringing this forward. Just as a curiosity question, you mentioned you mentioned the oral fluid, there's no lab in the US now that is recognized. Did the FTA say when, or DOT say when that would happen, or is that still in process of being worked on?
So Renee Ramirez, Director of Human Resources. Right now, they passed the regulations. The FTA could not give us a time when a laboratory will come on board. There are laboratories going through the credentialing process now. They just haven't notified us that that's even available.
Okay, thank you. And second the motion.
Thank you very much. And before we take roll, clerk, were there any comments received from the public?
No comments were received.
Is there anyone online with their hand raised?
There are no hands raised online.
And is there anyone here in person that would like to speak to the item? Seeing none, is there a need for a fast track on this item? Would it be beneficial?
It would be beneficial if we could get it fast tracked. Just so that way we could close it out as soon as possible.
Could we have a revision, Commissioner Kane, of your motion?
Sorry,
Commissioner, if I might, just in terms of the timing, I just want to make sure we understand the timing. There's been some commissioners who have expressed concerns about fast tracking stuff that doesn't need to be for the purpose of timing. So if we can meet the mark on the submission without fast tracking it, then it'll go on consent at the next commission meeting, not this Thursday, but the following commission meeting, which would be August the 7th. And then
Okay.
it's on consent.
And so August 7th would give you enough time to comply with the federal government's deadline. You would have time after that to provide them back whatever they need.
Yes.
Okay. All right, motion and a second roll call, please.
Roll call, Davis,
Aye.
Ramirez,
Aye.
Kane, Bynum,
Aye.
motion carries.
Thank you very much. Thank you both. And also Ms. Bush. And our next item is a resolution regarding our grants policy threshold and acceptance of grants. And we have Dr. Shelley Kneven, our CFO, and Dr. Kneven, I will turn it to you, please.
Yes, thank you very much. Shirley Kneven, CFO. I also have Leslie Stroshine, who's a deputy CFO, and Lupe Valavino. Is that right? Did I say it right? Close.
You want to bring them up?
You can come on up
guys
there. What
fight?
I see. That is our grants administrator. So real quickly, we'll talk through the changes. We were asked to take a look at this policy in particular because we wanted to make sure that we weren't putting up impediments for departments and not being able to apply for grants. But we also wanted to be respectful of the process to make sure we had the support of the commission ahead of time before we applied for a grant. So we don't ever get into a situation where we get awarded something and then for whatever reason, we don't have the grant match, or for whatever reason, the project isn't moving forward, we have to then turn it away. So we decided in taking a look at the policy that we think it strikes a good balance in terms of bringing the grant request forward. What we do is we request permission from the commission to apply, and if awarded, then do all the documents that are associated. One of the things we found that was in the old policy we were not complying with, that we will be complying with, is that we should be reporting to you all when we receive a grant so that you know what the outcome was. And so that's one of the things that we're putting back into place. It's just something that had fallen by the wayside. And when we were looking at the old document, it was something that we realized that we needed to do. We really didn't change. We clarified the provisions, but we did add in a section on page 2 under subsection C that if there is a grant with a short notice period, and it somewhat relates to what you just talked about with Alan with the blue sheets, there on occasion, there could be a grant that has a short notice period. It's very, very rare though, honestly. There's usually adequate lead time for us to be aware, to bring it forward, go through the normal approval process. But in the event that there was something that had a short review or approval time, then we wanted to be able to bring it to the next commission meeting with a blue sheet. So we did put that in here. That would only be in those cases where we have to meet the application deadline. Otherwise, we would follow our normal process. Unfortunately, right now, there's not situations where there's a short timeline. It's really quite the opposite, where grants are being withdrawn or opportunities aren't available. But in the event that there was, we do not want to miss out on it. So we acknowledge that. And then we just clarified really the rest of the process. One of the things that we did talk about in here, and it was a past practice by and large, although we were a little inconsistent, was what I call entitlement grants. There are a lot of grants that we receive that we do not apply for. And these are grants that we are given to from the state as the administering agency. The aging department's a good example because we're the designated agency to administer the state grants. And so we put in here that those would not follow this process. They haven't. There's only one department that occasionally brings those forward, and it's been community corrections. And they really probably don't need to bring those forward, but we need to report to you all so that you're aware of what we're getting. But in terms of something, the policy is for if we're going to apply for the grant, which we're not applying for those grants. We're just receiving them. So we did clarify that for your consideration. Commissioner Bynum had asked for a listing of those types of grants, and we do have a listing of those. I know we had put them together, and if we could share some of those, I didn't bring that with me. I apologize. And, or if you can just even give some examples. Email that out too.
Lippy Valdivino, Grants Financial Administrator. So some of our entitlement grants are like aging, has all their Older Americans Act, also any of the Medicare grant funding we receive for Medicare for the Health Department and senior community corrections.
There's like WIC, for
Oh,
example.
the WIC. Mhm.
So there's a variety of those. We'll provide you with a comprehensive list.
And Human Services has their CDDO.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Or
And the-
community development,
and community
community
development.
development block grant. So these are things that you've heard of, you're familiar with, you know about, but they haven't ever followed this process. So I wrote that into this policy to make it clear. In some large part for our departments, there's been a lot of turnover in departments. And so making sure they know what the rules are. And so for these entitlement grants, we don't bring them to you ahead of time because we're just awarded them and we administer them. But I will say that's the whole point of the single audit that we do, not the full annual comprehensive audit, but the separate audit, which looks at just grant funds, and it's done every year. And that's one that's underway. And we will bring that forward in September. That's when that's always done. And so we'll bring that forward. And that shows how the funds were used and how the monies were accounted for. So there is a listing of all of our grants that we received for the prior year that is provided to the commission. But again, the one thing that I really noted is that we hadn't been providing those routine updates, and we really want to and need to. What I expect we'll do is do a comprehensive list and send it to all the committees, because that's another thing is that depending on the nature of the grant, it goes to different committees, but just in order to make sure everybody's aware of everything going on, because it eventually goes to the full commission, we'll just have a monthly report that is comprehensive and says, well, here's the grants that we received for the prior month. And that way you'll know.
I think that would be really helpful. And as far as the entitlement grants, when you get a minute, if you would compile that to the mayor and commissioners, all the commissioners, referencing our discussion tonight, and that they will see this item on the full commission agenda first Thursday in August. I just think that would be helpful for everybody to have the same set of information, especially ahead of that vote in August.
Absolutely.
Thank you so
We'll
much.
send it out ahead of time.
Sure.
Because we do have it. I just didn't.
Okay.
But, and we'll also include it in the packet.
Mhm.
It's publicly available. So when this comes, this draft policy will be included, the cover memo, and then that list will be included too.
And appreciate the grants updates as well. That's going to be beneficial for us to know and help inform us.
Just anecdotally, just a quick comment. Last week when we talked about ARPA, the thing I've been talking with Leslie and Lupe about is, again, I don't feel like we tell our success stories well enough. And we have over $25 million of grants that we administer for this community. And I don't feel like we do a good enough job explaining how those dollars are used and how many people they're benefiting. And so these reports will be helpful in that, but we plan to do also an annual report that says, here's all the grants we got, not just a financial audit that'll tell you the numbers, but an impact report that shows you what is happening with these dollars, because there are so many good things that happen, and we just don't tell our story well enough. So we plan to make that a priority.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Commissioners? Commissioner Davis.
Thank you. Two thoughts. One, I do agree we should continue to tell that story. I think we'll have to make sure that it's very clear what the eligibility, what the criteria is, because some folks hear $25 million and it's like, well, why aren't we using that to lower property taxes or to fill potholes or to do these other things? And so there's always, it's a grant. So there's expectations and things we've committed to and restrictions on those use of dollars. So I think having that included would really, really help us. The other thing I wanted to kind of ask, if I recall when we discussed this months ago, there was a question of the threshold and if it was still appropriate given the size of our organization and given just the size of grant opportunities that are available. And so do you all feel that $50,000 is an important, is it a threshold that still works for 2025 and beyond? Or should we look at a higher threshold knowing that everything costs more? Personnel costs more, equipment costs more, labor costs more, services cost more. And so I would hate for us, you all to have to come up to us and it's for $60,000 and it's not to say that that's not significant. I just don't want the politics to be an impediment of administrative tasks. So if you all can speak to that, that'd be helpful.
So absolutely, Shelley Kneven, CFO. He actually looked at other entities' grant policies and not only grant policies, but also purchasing policies because the same question has come up. And our dollar values are similar to others. The differences were, for example, some entities don't ask for permission ahead of time. They wait until they're awarded the grant and then they bring it to their elected body. Some always come forward no matter what the dollar amount is if there's a match. Or if there's an FTE created, they bring that forward ahead of time. So it's a little hodgepodge based on what are, unique factors. And with our budgetary issues, the thresholds here really relate to the matching requirements, that kind of thing, making sure the match is in
Yeah.
place, making sure that we're comfortable that that is the priority. I mean, all of these things we feel like are good in terms of transparency. And then, it gives you an opportunity too to see what's included in specifics in department budgets. So we do think the thresholds are appropriate. And again, as I said, really the only issue that I've heard back from departments is that it's a process that sometimes they feel like they don't have time to go through. But when I've researched every single situation where that's come up, there is time to go through the process. And so that really is more of a perception and a pre-planning that we have to do to make sure that they are in a position. I think sometimes departments they've held off on writing the application before till they can get through the process. But I think they don't have to do that. They can certainly be preparing for it and hoping for, if they're bringing it forward, they're recommending approval. And so that shouldn't really be an impediment. It's just a little bit of pre-planning. But again, if there is a situation where we really do have 30 days to submit an application, we don't want to miss out on that either, just like you all have expressed. And so we have included, those would be the exceptions when we would ask for a blue sheet approval.
Gotcha. And for the no match grants, because I know this speaks to the matching grants portion, for the no match grants, does it still have the $50,000 threshold? Okay.
It's under C, grants greater than 50 or which require matching or supplemental funds greater than.
Gotcha.
So it's still in there.
Okay.
And we could certainly keep an eye on that. Most of the grants, frankly, it's not real close, right? It's going to be over 50 that we're applying for because it's to a state agency. I will say the only possible exception is we have started to tip our toe into the philanthropic world, and those are generally smaller grants. And so we might bring back a policy consideration that if it's to a foundation, maybe we look at it a little bit different threshold and process, but really it de facto wouldn't change our practice with the dollar amount because they're usually for quite a bit more.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Ramirez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just more comment, thank you for taking the input and bringing the changes back. I think it is good for us to have a more clear guidelines of how our grants are taken care of. And I do like the idea of the reporting. I know because in our budget books, we have the grant inventory that's in the very back. We have the single audit, but I think, that coming to committee and providing the update or what have you it's a good idea. I like that. More personable with staff and those departments that administer those grants. And I do like that impact report. It's been said last week with ARPA. Now we do, it doesn't seem like that there's a thought out there that we don't do very much out there, but we do. All of the work that we do, all of the programs, the grants that we do, we need to have an impact report of how that, so that we can show our community that we are doing good. But change takes time. So just be patient with us as we get through and we do the best that we can with what we have. So just thank you for your hard work.
Thank you, Commissioner Davis.
Thank you. Wanted to ask, I know we have a grants compliance staff member. Do we have a just grants administrator or a grant writer on staff right now?
We do not have a dedicated grant writer. All the departments are content experts. And so they are writing their own grants because it's really programmatic focused. We will support them on any financial or budgetary components they need. And we do have our consulting services, iParametrics, that's available for any one-off kind of consulting need that they might have to prepare a grant. But all of these grants that we're receiving, by and large, the departments are writing these grants and being successful. I will tell you, they do a very good job staying aware of what is available. There's grant notifications, there's grants.gov, which is a website that puts out all the notifications that we all watch and the departments watch. So their associations are very good at saying, hey, there's a grant opportunity for X, Y, or Z, public safety. So they're doing a very good job. I do not feel like there are tremendous numbers of grants out there that we're missing out on applying. There's always limited grant dollars, like everybody has budget constraints, but I don't know that we're really missing out on lots of opportunities. We've done a pretty good job keeping track of those in departments.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Anything else from the commissioners? Is there, clerk, are there any comments received from the public on the item?
No comments were received.
Is there anyone online
There are no hands raised online.
and anyone here in person that wants to comment? Seeing none, I would take a motion.
Move to approve.
Davis, second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Hill,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Ramirez,
Aye.
Kane, Bynum,
Aye.
motion carries.
Thank you very much. Our next item is a resolution establishing an annual local priorities legislative plan. This is a resolution that would establish an annual local legislative priorities plan that assists in the identification and possible elimination of inefficient, confusing, costly, or unnecessary processes, steps, or requirements within department operations that could enhance delivery of services to the community. We have Deputy Chief Counsel Wendy Green here, and I believe you have a brief presentation for us.
Yes, Madam Chair, if you
Please.
don't mind. Just real quick, colleagues. So this actually came out of conversation from City's Work, which I'm sure ACA House will talk a little bit more about. And Commissioners Bynum and Ramirez have been involved in this. And so the whole idea of this particular plan is to somewhat mimic or model what we do in our relationship to the state. And so if you all recall, every year we have our delegation come in and kind of put together a list. It's really kind of a wish list of things that we would like for them to accomplish that year. And so out of that particular practice and a recommendation from City's work came this locals priorities plan, which we help will I would say, help us get some direction at the beginning of the year of what changes we want to make and what things we want to accomplish. And so with that, hand it off to your staff.
All right, thank you, Commissioner. We'll run through this. As Commissioner Davis said, the idea for this came out of an evaluation or a report that was done in 2024 with Cities Works, which is a national nonprofit that works with cities around the country on ways to streamline processes and reduce barriers for small businesses. We are in the midst of working through a number of those recommendations through the Mayor's Business Development Task Force and through administrative channels as well. And one of the recommendations in there is this concept of a spring cleaning ordinance, which is just being intentional about reviewing your ordinances and are they still accomplishing the desired outcomes, desired goals? Do they need to be looked at? And as Commissioner Davis said, is there an opportunity for commission and staff to get an alignment and say, this is what we want to focus on for a particular calendar year? So it's kind of this idea of this alignment between the elected officials, between staff, and the other portion of this is the legislative auditor. So there is an independent legislative auditor that the Chief Justice of the District Court appoints, and that sits outside of the unified government, sits outside of whether that's elected or staff, and provides, I'd say, oversight. They do evaluations, they do reports on a wide range of things, and are independent, and they cherish their independence. They also can provide a lot of useful insight into the operational aspects of local government and the policies around it. So again, trying to think about how to get that alignment to be able to utilize the work that they do that can perhaps support administrative or policy changes. So this idea of identifying what are those specific areas of focus, what are the actions over the course of a year that update policies and procedures, whether that's go to land bank, like the commission has done over the last couple of years, or some of the work that is being done in this task force around sign ordinances and parking minimums. Again, there's sort of these different focal areas for policy priorities that the commission could say, this is what we're interested in, and this is what we want to dig in on, and we want staff support in order to do that. The idea being also that's what's feasible in 1 year's worth of work. So it's not like we want to end poverty, that sort of thing, where we're just talking very, very tangible and specific, and then the opportunity to engage the standing committees in those areas based on the 4 focus areas of the standing committees, as well as the boards and commissions. So there's another layer, if you will, of boards and commissioners that have community members that are engaged on those subject areas and could be brought to bear on bringing forward recommendations. Whether that's the Planning Commission looking at ways to make housing starts more accessible, or we'll hear in a little while from our community development, our human services on the CDDO funds, and what are some of the policies that perhaps they would want to look at. So again, there's a wide range of those boards and commissions that can be brought to bear in some of these areas. So the structure of it conceptually is that the county administrator could consult with the legislative auditor, look also at things like the community survey, engage with department heads, and then those boards and commissions, and develop an annual local priorities plan. So again, analogous to the state legislative plan that is brought forward every fall, this would be a local priorities plan, and it could focus on administrative actions and process improvement. It could focus on policy changes, and it could provide that direction to boards and committees and task forces as well. So, and then item number 4 is kind of within all this should pertain to the health, safety, and welfare of Wyandotte County and Kansas City, Kansas. So the idea being that this would be proposed by the county administrator in January. The commission, by the end of February, would amend and adopt the priority plans and then give that guidance to the county administrator and staff and boards and commissions. The mayor would then take those and work with committee chairs to hand those off appropriately to those particular standing committees, boards and commissioners for their work, and then use that as a way to provide that guidance. So that's it in a nutshell. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Commissioner Kane.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. This is where we mess up. Because we give our legislative folks 30 items. And you're lucky to get 3. And we need to, whatever those 3 are, or 5, 3 would be the magic number, which is what a lot of the other municipalities share. And we all want something, right? But we got to figure out what the most important thing is. Come together, you guys will have to come together as a group, because as soon as you hand that to a legislator, that's exactly what they do. Because they can't do it all. You know, they got their hands full with the other side of the fence, you know, jamming us every day. And we need to come up with things that's benefit this community, not the other communities. So I won't be here, but y'all gonna have to focus on it, and I'm not gonna miss you either.
Commissioner, you are correct. This will be tailored for work of the unified government, but same exact concept. And you're correct. It's got to be a short list, because if we're looking at something that we think we can accomplish with a year's time, then that can't be 15 things. It has to be, like you said, 3 or 4. So I couldn't agree more. I will, however, miss you.
Don't lie.
Council Green, anything from you that we need to hear, please?
When agreeing with the UG Legal Department, no, I was just here, so if you guys wanted any revisions to this, I could write it down and make any changes that were recommended, but
Okay.
no, I don't think I have
All right.
anything to add. Thank you.
Stand by then. Commissioner Ramirez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think it's a good idea to reiterate that this is not, we're making it synonymous with our, our legislative agenda that we send to our lobbyists to, as we would say, it's a wish list of what we would like done, but we know majority of that, what's going to be on there is not going to be done. This is something where these are things that can be done within like a year's worth of work. It's, you can say, the low hanging fruit. What's the low hanging fruit throughout our departments, through our policy, through our ordinances that we can clean up, that we can make more efficient. It's just a better way, because for years now, the rhetoric is we need to work better, we need to do better, we need to be more efficient. And I think this is the best way to do that. Everybody comes to the table. The standing committees are actually doing work, working to help staff make their jobs easier, but also the boards and commissions that we appoint people, our community members to, they are working and helping as well. And so I like how we did create those 3 categories of the recommendations. Either it's an administrative task, it's a standing committee task, or it's a board and commission task, so that everyone involved has their voice said. Staff is going to be involved. The elected board the elected board is going to be involved, and the community through the boards and commissions are going to be involved. And so it brings all 3 to the same table and brings us into alignment as it's been said. And I think that's really important because as Commissioner Kane said, we all want something, but we're not all going to get it. But let's find and pick those things that are going to push us forward and help us grow. So I do really think this is an amazing idea, and I thank Commissioner Davis for bringing this forward. And it's, hopefully we, I believe next year should be our first time having one, and I look forward to working with commissioners and staff and community to find those priorities for next year that'll be amazing for our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Davis?
Thank you. Thank you all, staff, for working on this. And I know it's been some time coming. One of the reasons why I think something like this is super important is because we all hear and complain about issues all year. And some of those issues are things that we actually can do something about. But not having that vehicle by which we could be strategic, act, have a timeline, and actually produce measurable results has caused a lot of frustration, right? Whether it's blight and dumping, whether it's issues with the DMV, whether it's the 311 system, right? I can go on and on where these things actually do take us as commissioners rolling up our sleeves and saying, okay, what are we going to do? How are we going to own the process of progress? And so I get really, really excited about something like that. The other thing I'll add is our community survey, which I think is very much underutilized because we hear from the entire community in a very scientific way. It's not one area or one region. It's not one particular issue. It's a comprehensive diagnosis of what the issues are and what people care about in our community. And so having that in there kind of ties the community survey results to the things that we do and allow us to act on them. And so I do appreciate the support, and I'm hopeful not just for this body, but for future bodies, it changes the way the unified government does business. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Question, Mr. Howes, I'm gonna guess that this was gonna be yours to undertake. Would that be fair?
It's not an ordinance yet, so we haven't got that far. Signed it out any, I don't know.
Okay. The only reason I say that is because my feeling is if we're going to engage the standing committees, our partners and our boards and commissions, that needs to start in like September. Because if we're adopting a resolution or an ordinance that says in January, our county administrator is going to bring this, then those meetings need to have taken place prior to January. So that would just be my request and suggestion. I think it would be a beneficial way to have those boards and commissions feel that they are contributing, because I think a lot of times they think they're just wasting their time, and they're not. And this is a good way to bring them to the table for these conversations. Yes, sir.
In terms of the timing, so because we have elections in November, it is an additional kind of challenge. So like on the state legislative agenda, we will bring that forward in the fall, and then it'll get adopted in late November, early December before the next group of elected sits, because the state legislature sits starting in January. And so we can't wait until then to have that conversation. This one, it'll be interesting to see. This will be the first time through, provided the commission adopts it, that we'll have a new set of electeds sitting in early December. And then this may be a vehicle that would allow for some of those early conversations to inform this. And when it comes back by the end of January, as the ordinance lays out, back to the commission. So the timing will be kind of interesting to see, again, as we go through it for the first time, you know, how that works and how that works in election year and election years. Engagement works, because I agree earlier is better on that engagement. But
Right, you're right. We'll see. That'll be interesting. Other comments or questions? Is there a motion? Sorry, I'm so sorry. Before we take your motion, Clerk, did we receive any comments from the public?
No comments were received.
And is there anyone online with a hand raised to speak?
There are no hands raised online.
Anyone here in person that would like to speak? Okay, thank you very much. Now, is there a motion?
Davis, move to approve.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Roll call, Hill,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Ramirez,
Aye.
Kane, Bynum,
Aye.
motion carries.
Thank you very much. Our next item is election activities update with our county election office. Going over general election operations updates, new initiatives, and the historical budget of the election office. Mr. Abbott is our election commissioner, and I do not see your deputy. He maybe did not have the ability to be here tonight. But Mr. Michael Abbott, Commissioner Abbott, there you go. We will turn it over to you. And one thing you might do is lay that name card down, since you are not Dr. Shelley Knieven. And we will turn it to you, please. Just make sure you pull that microphone a little closer and speak directly into it. Thank you.
Good evening, Michael Abbott, Wyandotte County Election Commissioner. I thought tonight would be a great opportunity to go over our operation, new initiatives, and needs at the Wyandotte County Election Office. So with that, I'll get started. I want to kick my presentation off with a quote from the Consolidation Study of 1997. Frequent elections are crucial to the representation of the people. As you know, elections are the foundation of our government. Without them, there are no leaders who represent the people or make decisions on their behalf. And without leaders, government cannot function. Therefore, the government cannot function. Elections are administered by the county election officer. We follow federal and state law and election policy set by the Kansas Secretary of State. A big change to state law effective January 1 of 2026 is no more 3-day grace period on mail ballots. So the way it stands now is if a mail ballot comes to the election office after election day, as long as it's postmarked on or before election day, we can receive that up until the Friday after.
Commissioner, I'm going to stop you right there.
Sure.
Because I did misunderstand that, and I thought in Kansas that was in effect right now, but you are saying it is not.
It is in effect now, January of 2026, it changes. State law, so the law has changed, but it doesn't take effect until January 26th.
Okay, so in the cycle that we are in, primary and general, the 3-day grace period stands.
Stands, that's correct.
Thank you. I think that's really important. Thank you.
Yep, thank you for the question. I just wanted this board to know that, that it is changing to January 2026. In Kansas, the county election officer is the sole public officer with the statutory authority to plan, conduct, and coordinate elections within the county according to federal and state law. There are 101 counties where the county election officer is an elected county clerk, and there are 4 counties where the county election officer is appointed by the Secretary of State. And those 4 counties are Johnson County, Sedgwick County, Shawnee, and Wyandotte. Elections don't just happen. This chart by the Election Assistant Commission outlines just how many hats election officials wear. In the next couple of slides, I'm going to go over some of the larger important operation items. We are responsible for conducting elections that elect over 700 positions. We also take candidate filings and receive and retain campaign finance reports. We maintain voter registration, conduct 40 to 80,000 changes a year, and we conduct list maintenance daily, which includes death records checks, felon checks, national change of address, undeliverable mail, and NVRA purge. And NVRA purge is when a voter doesn't vote for 2 federal elections, we can take them off the voter rolls. But I get asked a lot, and almost actually every election cycle, how often those voter rolls are updated, and the answer is it's daily. We are the 4th largest county by population, but the 1st smallest by land area. So it makes it a little difficult sometimes trying to get polling locations. We have to manage our polling places by ensuring every location is ADA compliant. And we currently have 35 locations. 30 of those are election day polling locations, and 5 of those are early in person. My favorite topic is election workers. They are the heart and soul of our elections. Without them, elections don't work. We only have 10 full-time staff, including myself and Deputy Election Commissioner Zachary Hunt. We have over 700 potential election workers, but we use between 250 to 350 per election. And I can tell you that they have not had a raise since 2016, and I'll talk about that just a little more in a couple of slides, but something I want to get changed, so. We have over 300 pieces of election equipment. The equipment must be certified by the EAC and the Kansas Secretary of State. And we test roughly between 1,500 and 5,000 ballots when testing the equipment before each and every election. We also do a public test of our equipment. That's by state law. That's before each election and after every election. This is just an illustration of some of the things we just talked about and how they fit together leading up to Election Day. Election Day is game day for us. It's an exciting day. We start as early as 5 in the morning, while the polling locations are open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. We have 20,000 to 45,000 voters across 30 locations. And me and my staff, we monitor the election throughout the day. We have what we call a monitoring room where we take all the calls from the election workers and all 30 polling locations. If they have any questions or issues or need supplies, we're on the phones. But I can also see every time a voter goes in and checks in on an electronic poll book, I'm able to see how many voters are checking in. So it gives me an idea of what the turnout's going to be on Election Day. One of my favorite quotes that couldn't be more true: every election is determined by the people who show up. As you can see from the graph, most turnout is still during the national and state elections. I just wanted to show that. But before I get started with what's new, are there any questions I can answer? What's new? We changed to the .gov domain, which shows that the website is an official government website. And our website is wycovoteskck.gov. And we are working with DOTS to change or to migrate our website to the same platform as Unified Governments, which I believe is Open Cities. I've had meetings with the director of DOTS, and I think we're on a good path to getting that changed. So. I can tell you that voting has never been easier than it is. And today in Wyandotte County, we've added early in-person voting out west at Patricia Diane Kane Community Center and in Edwardsville. And we currently offer 2 weeks of early in-person for national state elections, 1 full week for city local elections. As you can see from the map, I think we have pretty good coverage just across the county. But we have heard public feedback that they want extended hours. So currently we have, it's 8 to 5 Monday through Friday at the election office and 10 to 4 at our satellite locations, and then 10 to 4 on the weekends. The feedback we've heard is that instead of being 10 to 4, 8 to 5 throughout the week, they want it to be open until at least 6. That way folks and voters getting off at 5, they can go directly there, vote, and go home. With that, there is an increase in cost. And I'll talk about the election workers. It was my understanding that a couple of years ago, there was a resolution passed where everybody who works in the unified government gets a minimum of $15 an hour. That never trickled down to the election workers. And so that's one thing I sent a memo to the county administrator's office along through our budget team addressing that. And so if we increase the hours and we increase the pay, it would be anywhere between $200,000 to $220,000 annually. We did lose polling locations due to COVID, but I am happy to report we're back to pre-COVID levels. We have an average of 3,100 voters assigned to each polling place. And we have improved our operations. Sorry. So I don't know how that happened. It's definitely the operator. I am on what's new election night results. I think it's, yep, there we go. Sorry about that. So we improved our operations. We wanted the first in the state to report election night results. That's a big deal for us, especially in elections, to have accurate reporting as early as we've been doing them. We averaged about 8:15 getting those done. And with the law change in 2026 with a 3-day grace period for the mail ballots, we will have to change our operation up a little bit, but we're still going to be our goal. It will still be 8:15, 8:30 timeframe. Last year, we received a $95,000 grant from the Secretary of State for election security. We added dedicated cameras to all of our drop box locations, new cameras throughout the election office, and badge access. So now only election officials have access and no single person is allowed to enter a secured area alone. As you can see from that photo, that's one of the secured areas. There's 2 badge access there. So if I need to go in that room, I have to have another election official with me. We both use our badge to get in. As you can see, there's a clipboard there to the left. We have to manually write in our names, what we're doing in that room, and we date stamp and time it. And the door there, you'll see there's another security there. We have another code to get into that door. And it's all being recorded digitally as well. So I can sit here and tell you that the election office is the most secure it's ever been. And it just continues to get more secure, so. We have been focusing on public outreach, engaging with students at high schools, and we just completed our very first I Voted sticker contest. The sticker is available to voters during this primary and the general coming up. So I just want to say congratulations to Kayla Mortel again of Piper High School. She did a fantastic job on that. It was a lot of fun for staff and I, and we will continue to do that annually. So. I'm going to go over the needs of the Wyandotte County Election Office. The first thing is a training area. Training is currently interrupting election preparation, our early voting, and our overall operations because we have to do training in our warehouse. You can see from the picture there, we have to have a makeshift kind of wall to separate election workers from our equipment. And a lot of times during this, on the other side of that wall, we have early voting going on. So it causes traffic issues in the parking lot because they have to come all the way around where early voting is. And if the class is loud, people are hearing that out in the voting area. I did put in a capital request this year. I worked with John Kelly and his team to get us some quotes on making a training room down in the very low basement. And I did submit that in the memo that I talked about earlier to the county administrator's office through the budget team. We need a parking lot assessment done. This is a photo of the Monday before the 2024 general election. We had lines wrapped around the building. Every parking space was full. We had people parking out in the middle of the street. It was a very busy time, but it makes me nervous because the way that traffic flows in and out of there, it just needs to be reassessed to make sure we're doing it correctly and safely. Here's another photo. This is a photo of the inside as well. And I just want to say thank you and a shout out to Steve Oman and the security team because they helped us direct traffic that day. It started raining and we brought all those people inside our warehouse in an orderly fashion. He did it safely so that they didn't get wet. They did a very, very good job. But I just wanted to show you kind of what our operation is on election day and why we need that parking lot assessed. Just want to make sure it's the safest it can be. Our current phone system is outdated, unable to handle our call volumes. We're working closely with DOTS. I had a meeting with the director on a new phone system that allows emergency routing in case of an outage. And just put it in perspective, in 2024, the election office did 10,000 phone calls alone. And we only have a staff of 10. So we need a phone system that's able to handle those calls. There will be a cost to it. I don't have that number yet, but I will bring that forward when I get that. New voting equipment. We purchased our current equipment in 2016, 2017 timeframe. We are currently in an RFP for new equipment that has enhanced security features. I don't have a quote yet, but I'm estimating probably we're around $2.5 million for the new equipment. The election levy fund does have almost $1 million in it that we could use towards that if that's what the board wants to do. But I do want to bring that up and just let you know it's right around the corner, and we are out kind of looking right now on what's out there. Our actual budget is $1.6 million. That's after a transfer of $207,000 to the county general fund, and there's $100,000 of anticipated revenue. But our actual budget is $1.6 million. Again, I did send this memo to the county administrator's office through the budget team, and just wanted to know where we're sitting at today. With that, I'll take any questions.
Commissioner Abbott, what was your 2024 budget?
It was the same, I believe, because of revenue neutral. I think it was the same.
Okay, Commissioner Kane?
I can't believe we're still paying them $13 an hour.
901.
Oh, yeah, what was 901 and 13 at the tops?
Well, it's 901 if they're just doing basic duties. If they're a supervising judge, they get paid $13.65.
I would think that we would pay the lowest paid person $15 and the other person somewhere between $17 and $18, because it's hard to get volunteers to do this. And we appreciate that they're there. And this goes into why we exceeded revenue neutral, because there are some expenses that we cannot avoid. And in order for us to stay up to date with the elections, we're going to need new equipment.
Commissioner Ramirez?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Commissioner Abbott. Your office is one of those constitutional offices that we are required to fund. There's no there's no ifs, just like the sheriff's office, just like the DA's office, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. We are required to fund your office. We cannot tell you how to spend the money because that is within your purview, but we are to provide you the funding. And your office, you know, along with the sheriff's office and along with the DA's office, is a very important, one of the most important. We don't have elections, then we don't have an we don't have an elected sheriff. We don't have an elected DA. We don't have an elected mayor. We don't have an elected board, commission board. So your office is one of the most important county functions that we have. And so I thank you for all the hard work, for the funding that you do get from us. You do the best with what you have to perform a safe and secure election. I can say before my first time around of running for office, I remember election night and results taking forever to come out. But now my second time around, we knew that 1, 2, 3 tranches and it was done. So I thank you, you have been able to bring your office up to date. And as you said, with the needs, there's more you can do. And so I hope that, you know, with our budgeting process, that we're able to provide you more funding to be able to do your job. And especially as going to what Commissioner Kane said, I think the most important thing that we need to do first is we need to pay our election workers more. They are the heart and soul of our elections. They are the ones running, and along with that, they need a dedicated room to be able to be properly trained. And so I really, really hope that this election or this budget cycle, we're able to provide more funding to your office. And I just want to take one moment to say I'm very upset with the January 1st, 2026, the 3-day grace period going away, because that is something a lot of voters rely on. is that 3-day grace period. A lot of people who mail in ballots. And so it's heartbreaking to see that go away, but that doesn't mean, then that means we as a community need to step up our game in getting everybody to be there on election day. And so I just want to thank you for all your hard work, to you, your deputy, your staff, all the election workers. I will gladly say, I'm sure Wyandotte County has one of the safe and fairest elections process that we have. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Commissioner. Question for Administrator House and legal, perhaps. Again, based on the comments we've heard so far from the two commissioners, we want to be supportive of increasing hourly wage for election workers. And yet, basically, our job is to allocate dollars to the election office, but not allocate how they spend them. Would that be fair?
Sort of, I guess. I'm trying to think on my feet here.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Here's what I'm trying to get at. How did it happen that we supported the change to 15 and that did not occur is it because they're seasonal or temporary? They didn't fall into that guideline? I would like to understand that a little better. Thank you.
Commissioner, this is Z Bishop from the Unified Government Legal Department. My understanding, and kind of like Mr. House said, I'm thinking on my feet a little bit here, but my understanding is that it did have to do with the seasonal or temporary status of these employees. But also, I have had a fairly recent conversation with the Human Resources Department, and my understanding is that this is in the works. They are aware of the issue and they're looking at it and trying to figure out how we're going to fund that.
And maybe possibly correct whatever piece of HR policy is keeping it from happening at this time. So that might be good news for you. Other questions, comments?
We have Commissioner Hill in line with her
Oh,
hand raised.
Excellent. Commissioner Hill, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Mr. Abbott, for your presentation. And I agree with my colleagues on making sure everybody's paid accordingly. And I'm supportive of you having what you need to do your job well. So I just wanted to confirm that. I do have one quick question. One of the things the community asked about the election office a while back was, would there be opportunities for those who needed the ballots in Spanish? Has that occurred? Is that a budget issue? Is that a state issue that would hinder that? Just where are we at on that?
Thank you for the question, Michael Abbott, Election Commissioner. There's a federal statute that does not allow us to do Spanish ballots at the time. There's certain thresholds that have to be met, and we just haven't hit them in Wyandotte County yet.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else? Commissioner, we deeply appreciate everything you do. I know it's a busy time for you right now, so we especially appreciate that you're here tonight.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Timing is good. We always want to hear from you, so please come back.
I will. Thank you.
All right. This is an information-only item, so no vote is required. And next, we have a presentation providing information and updates related to our Human Services CDDO. By the way, staff, thank you too for being here. I think this is another kind of important and often unrecognized department of the unified government that does a whole lot of really good work for the community. So we are happy to have you here tonight. And I will turn it over to you and your team. So when you do talk into the microphone, just make sure you pull it a little closer so that we can hear you and get accurate recordings. All right, ready to go. Thank you.
All right, good evening. Phyllis Wallace, Human Service Director. Thank you for having us this evening. I have with me Yer Hang and Greg Carr, who will each tell you a little bit about our department. So let's get started. How do I advance it? Just a minute. Okay. All right. Human Services covers 3 areas, which is what you're viewing right now. The Wyandotte County Developmental Disability Organization serves only Wyandotte County residents, and we perform a number of contractual roles and responsibilities. I will cover more in that in the next few slides. Human Relations, which has an advisory committee, works to ensure equal opportunity and access for all individuals who call Wyandotte County their home. Ms. Hain will provide additional information related to that area. Dispute resolution works to resolve conflicts and provide mediation as requested. Mr. Carr will provide more information about this role and responsibilities in this area. This picture represents the clients we serve at one of our largest events, annual picnic in the park. We have many clients in our community that identify as having an intellectual or developmental disability. Our department seeks to identify those in our community who are not familiar with our services through our community outreach and events such as this one. The CDL has a contract with the state of Kansas to perform a number of roles that you see on the screen. We work very closely with our community partners with the same goal in mind, and that is to identify those who have not yet connected with our office to complete the intake and eligibility process. Educate our clients, parents, guardians, and community about services for the IDD population, and tackle some of those barriers that they and their families face each and every day. When we talk about barriers, I am reminded of some stories that are told that really resonate as a lifelong advocate of our most vulnerable population and citizens, families who truly struggle in ways we often take for granted. Parents who live in constant fear of what will happen to their loved one when they're no longer here. Those milestones you and I have come to appreciate when our children get older, go off to college, acquire a job making a livable wage, raise a family. Those are things that are often not what special needs parents have to look forward to. I don't speak for all of them, but from the stories that are told, I know that health and safety run high on the list of priorities for their loved one. As we look ahead, under our current administration, there are Medicaid cuts being proposed that will have a huge detrimental impact to the folks we serve and many others, such as families with loved ones in long-term care facilities. When we talk about services, what does that look like? In Kansas, we reference home community-based services. Currently, there are 7 waivers in Kansas listed on the right of the screen. The Kansas Department of Aging and Disability is currently in the process of developing an additional waiver, the community supports waiver that will be available in 2026. All of these waivers, they differ in eligibility criteria, types of services offered, and time frame to access the programs. One thing remains consistent among them, and that is you must maintain program eligibility and Medicaid eligibility to be active on any one of these waivers. Cuts to Medicaid would be detrimental to these life-saving services. Our office is the single point of entry for those seeking services under the Intellectual and Developmental Disability waiver, which currently has about a roughly 9 to 10-year wait list. For those wondering why folks have to wait that long, well, the legislators appropriate the funds for the wait list, of course. The IDD program has the largest wait list and the heaviest cost per person. The good news is the IDD waiver begins for individuals at age 5 years of age, 5 years. And when anyone access the funding or able to get the funding is available to them, as long as that individual remains program eligible and Medicaid eligible, they can pretty much remain on that waiver lifelong. One of the oldest individuals we serve is in their 80s. So if we do a good job in identifying the young ones early, then there is a greater chance that services will be available to them when it's needed, and definitely by the adulthood. This slide lists the type of services one can receive on the home community-based waiver, IDD waiver program. This picture also depicts our annual resource fair for families in the community. Anyone can benefit from a variety of vendors attending our resource fairs. This slide provides you with some data, both statewide and local. The most important takeaway from this slide, I will say, is that the annual cost to Medicaid for just 2 of the services a high-need individual would receive in a community-based program. As you can see, the day services could run annually that amount, and the residential for individual who is high need, the annual rate, cost would be that amount. This slide kind of breaks down how we are funded, basically. We're a state and federal match, 65%, and mill levy, 35%. And that covers the 7 staff in our office. Lastly, through the funding we received, we were able to offer programs and services you see listed. The majority of our families live below the poverty line and they're on the fixed incomes. Our summer day program provides an opportunity for young adults to participate in program services during the summer while parents work, and parents benefit from the continuity of care and minimize the risk of health and safety issues for them. Special Olympics is a popular program that our clients access for socialization, health and wellness, and community integration. One of our newer programs is our Emergent Need program that has been a godsend for some families. The need is great. As stewards of the funding we are allocated, we want to be intentional about identifying and mitigating any risk through funding and working with others who can be of assistance. I'll turn it over to Ms. Hang, who will give an overview of human relations.
Good evening. Your Hang Human Services. Let's see. Okay, so a quick overview of this first slide is how the roles in human relations plays and how we assist members of our community. The Advisory Commission on Human Relations and Disability Issues works to carry out most of the role and responsibilities of human relations set out in our ordinance that outlines our purpose. On this slide listed are some of the other roles we have, which includes ADA, landlord tenant, disabled parking. And slide 12 is the mission of Human Relations Division is to ensure equal opportunity and access for all residents by enforcing anti-discrimination laws, providing mediation services, and promoting understanding through education and community engagements. And I'll turn it to Mr. Carr.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Greg Carr. I am a mediations counselor for dispute resolution. I am under the umbrella, as you see, of Human Services. I'm going to tell you, it showed up there at the beginning that I did mediation. Thank you. Mediation is just one of the small, minor things that dispute resolution does. I've probably been a mediation, state-approved mediator for the past 15 years, I'm guessing, 14, 15 years. It used to be a two-person operation when I first started. And after retirement, it was just left up to me to be the lone wolf. I was doing a lot of misdemeanor police filing. I was filing all their misdemeanor cases. For some reason, they finally came along and took that. I was doing animal, barking dog, animal control issues. They finally came along and took their place with that. So basically, what I do is, as it states, mediation services, basically trying to take cost, unnecessary time from citizens whose cases, misdemeanor cases, could possibly be resolved outside of the court. It's an issue where both parties, alleged victim and alleged defender, have to agree upon it. If they do not, a lot of times the alleged victim does not want to go forward with mediation. My job then, as I touch with the police department, the municipal court clerk's office, and the prosecutor's office. So I'm kind of like the middleman in all three of those to make a misdemeanor case happen. It is my job to, when I get a police report, I have to read every police report that comes in to determine if the vital information that's needed on there can be moved forward to the prosecutor's office, if it can be mediated, or let them know exactly what needs to be added to the police report to move forward one way or the other. If we can resolve it outside of court, that's great. That keeps everyone from taking time off from work, costing the court, the prosecutor's times, all of that. If not, then I make sure it gets to the prosecutor's office. And a lot of times when the police do these reports, they do so many, they may mislabel what the charge is. So it is up to me to read this report and determine, with the prosecutor's help, if this is a misdemeanor, is it should be handled as a felony, and then speak back to the alleged victim to get them to the right department. One other thing that dispute resolution really take a lot of pride in is all these calls that come forward. If dispute resolution was not there, it would be kind of scary to me, because a lot of those calls are going to go to 311. 311 may not know where it's supposed to go. To the police department may not know where it's supposed to go. To the municipal court clerk's office, who is always busy. And of course, the prosecutor's office has no time to handle it. So dispute resolution is there to make sure these calls are handled correctly or directed to the right department that can handle it. Also, I'm responsible for going out for disabled parking applicants and doing on-site inventories and getting back with Ms. Wallace, and we make a determination on if the person is qualified to receive off-street parking. There's a application they have to fill out with some stipulations to determine that. Also, the landlord-tenant issues, which we get unsurmountable amount of calls of those. me and Ms. Wallace basically handle landlord-tenant issues. And we give them their basic general rights is for landlords and tenants. All of these calls, if not for dispute resolution and Ms. Wallace being there, I don't know where they go. And, that's a problem. So, again, I've been a state-approved mediator for the past 15 years. I also go and train the police department to make sure they are up to date on exactly what we do. A lot of those are new officers who don't have an idea. I train a lot of the cadets who don't know. And so we just try to keep everybody updated. And my main motto to the police department is, if you are not sure, just give them my number and we'll make sure we get them to the right department or get handled appropriately. Trying to see if I'm leaving anything else out. I think that's all I can think of right offhand. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Carr. Let's see. That's a little bit of what he talked about in terms of the full-time, he's a full-time single staff FTE for that, and some of the areas that are covered under the misdemeanor remediation. Let's see. I'm gonna finish community events and initiatives. So we have our annual picnic, which is coming up in the latter part of August. It's a really big event, and it's something that the families and the clients look forward to. We have individuals who come and join us from the school district as well. So it's really an informative and great wholesome event. There are other opportunities and initiatives. I know that my staff have started a job readiness education classes. What we're trying to do is push employment for individuals with disabilities, because everyone can do something or get a job and do something. So we really want to push and help individuals to try to seek employment if that's their route, or their ability has afforded an opportunity to be able to do that. We participated in community resource fairs and school activities, events, whatever we're invited to. We like to come out and just be there and be present. We also too do landlord tenant training for the community once a year. So that's been very informative and helpful, and we get a lot of feedback from folks who have attended that, or individuals who we speak to on the phone. We try to refer them back to that good training that they can get some possible good information from. So this is a list of just a very not even a full encompass list, but just a list of some of the community partners and some of the events that we have participated in. And we're also, anyone asks us to come to participate, we're more than welcome to do that, more than willing to do that. And so that's kind of a small list of some of the things that we will do or have done, and those who we have worked with. And I can stand for any questions you have, if you have any.
Ms. Wallace, thank you so much. And to you and your team, I do think you're kind of one of the hidden gems in the unified government. I have a request, Irene Caudillo. I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but there you are at the back of the room. If you wouldn't mind, just step to the microphone, or you don't have to do that. The question I have is the Advisory Commission on Human Relations. I know that you've struggled probably since its formation to have a full quorum of people. So certainly an email to the commissioners is fine. Please update us on who needs to make an appointment. But I noticed that the mayor of Bonner and the mayor of Edwardsville have an appointment to make.
Correct.
And need to make that. And the reason I asked Irene to step forward was just because I wonder if an outreach from Mayor Garner, asking them to please contemplate an appointment so that this committee can meet. And the other question I wonder about, and I don't know the answer, but if I lived in Bonner or Edwardsville, maybe I don't want to drive to downtown KCK for a meeting. So maybe one impediment that they might be having is they are struggling to find somebody who wants to come to downtown KCK for that meeting. So I don't know if there's a,
It is virtual as well. I think they make
so they could be
accommodations.
virtual. Okay.
Yeah, the struggle is that it is a 13-member board, different than the others that are only accommodated by appointments of the mayor and the commission. And Lisa has reached out to those commissioners that still need appointments. It is the mayors of Bonner and Edwardsville that we are working on to get.
Okay.
But we did inform them that the accommodations can be made for them to be virtual.
Okay.
If that is ever a problem.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Mhm.
Appreciate everything. Anything from commissioners? Commissioner Ramirez?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And unfortunately, I'm one of those commissioners, sorry. I will, I will work, I'll try my best to find an appointment to put on the board for you. So I apologize for that. I would thank you for the presentation. Thank you for all the work. As you're going through the presentation, I was trying to think, I'm in my 5th year. I was trying to think throughout the 5 years. I don't believe I have seen human services since my orientation 5 years ago. Because I remember when I did a commission orientation, I was escorted around the whole building, up and down, visiting, learning about the different departments. And I think that was, like I said, if my mind is wrong, please correct me, but I think that was the last time I interacted with this department. And that is, on my part, that is a sad thing to say. Because you guys are providing essential, as Commissioner Bynum said, you guys are a hidden gem. You guys are providing a lot of great resources and services to a very specialized part of our community. And even more so now, as you mentioned, Ms. Wallace, with the unfortunate impending cuts to Medicaid, and that's just going to make your job even more harder to do. With more limited, you may have limited resources now, but now it's going to be even more. And so I thank you for the hard work, and I will be a champion for all our departments as best as I can to ensure you get the resources you need. But I really do thank you, and I like that we're bringing departments, getting updates so that this doesn't happen where 5 years later, I finally get to see the staff again and get an update and a refresher of what the Human Services Department does. Because just like during COVID, our public health department, everyone knows it exists, but during COVID, they were the face of our government because they were the ones protecting us. And it's just, we need to do that with our other departments as well. And that's especially with human services. So just thank you for all the hard work you do. Doesn't go unnoticed.
Thank you so much. We appreciate that.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Davis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you all so much. I know y'all work very, very hard, particularly on matters that are not very easy to solve. And so oftentimes departments are like, oh, you don't have to bring us your problems. You all almost exist so that we can bring some of those issues and problems to you. And so I really, really appreciate it when we did our senior and Disability Resource Fair. Not only was our clerk's office present, but your office was present as well, and I deeply appreciate that. And I know a lot of constituents, community members were, quite frankly, blown away of just how well represented the unified government was, and how useful these resources are that just aren't often talked about, or they aren't often leveraged. And so I think it's our job as elected leaders to be mascots and champions of your work, so that we can help our constituents and residents understand the value of the unified government and the different tools that they can use to solve their issues. I am along with those 7 folks that have vacancies on your board. However, I will be making an appointment this Thursday, and so you'll have 6 vacancies, hopefully, and there'll be 1 less. I did want to ask a question. August 22nd, you have the picnic coming up. Did you all have a time or location set yet for that date? Care to share?
Yes, we do. So it's going to be out at the Wyandotte County Park.
Yeah.
So we have the George Mine facility reserved. So sometimes we have heat advisory during that time. So if we should have heat advisory, we can move them in.
Inside.
If not, we like to stay out in the park at Shelter D. And so that's where all the fun is. We have the DJ, the hot dogs that Mr. Cart enjoys grilling. And it starts at 11 till 1:30.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Well, thank you again for the presentation. It is really, really good to hear from you and see you and be reminded of all the great work you do. It looks like we have Dr. Hill, Commissioner Hill, with her hand up, please. Commissioner?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to say thank you for the report. I do have a couple of questions, and forgive me, I did not get the name of the gentleman who spoke about, he said he was the only one who was working on his end. And he mentioned that if you call 311, they don't know where to go. If you call another number, the police department may not know where to go. Did you have some suggestions on how we could improve that whole scenario, sir?
We have made, I'm Greg Carr, Dispute
I'm sorry.
Resolution
Thank you,
Mediator.
Mr. Carr.
You're welcome. I think it has improved to the degree by training, going to the police department to train, trying to interact with 311. But I think it's just the nature of the citizens. They hear dispute and they'll just call any number. So it's just important that the police department, 311, they all just know exactly what my number is. So I don't think it is. Sometimes I get parking tags applications for street applications. They get those mixed up. So it's a lot of different things. I don't know how much more we can improve upon that, but except through some training and things like that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Commissioner. Anything else from us? We appreciate your time tonight. Thank you for being here, and we hope you have the very best possible rest of your evening,
Thank you so much.
and stay cool. And our last but certainly not least item on our agenda is a presentation from our Unified Government Clerk's Office. And we have Clerk Monica Sparks. Monica, do you want to bring your team forward, or whatever you all would like to do? And we will hear updates on our utility and sales tax rebate program and other roles and responsibilities of our clerk's office. And we appreciate that you're here.
We are very happy to be here, and you're going to hear a little bit of bragging tonight because I don't think my staff realizes what good jobs they do sometimes. So, and that's why they're here. So Monica Sparks, Unified Government Clerk. I do have a two-phase presentation for y'all tonight. The first phase is going to be talking about our rebate program, kind of the results of the program, some of the things that we're still encountering, and we want to tell a story because I think it's very important. This program does so much for the community. And then the second phase of the presentation is just to update you on what we do in the clerk's office. You're very familiar with us in this setting. You see us every meeting. You know, there's three of us that you see all the time, but you probably don't see the other staff behind me. And they anchor the office, and what they do is so very important that we need to share that with you. So, utility rebate, where's the remote? Can tell I'm used to being on that side. So we have three types of rebates in the clerk's office. Where did we go? There we go. Okay. Now we're where we need to be. So we have three types of rebates. We have the utility sales rebate, which the commission approved, and there's an ordinance and it's well supported. But part of that is the BPU pilot relief, and that is included in the utility and sales tax rebate. And then we administer the property tax rebate from the state of Kansas. Most people probably know it as the homestead program, but there are actually three phases to that. Timer. Oh, take it off. Take it off the timer. Technical difficulty. And I'll just keep talking because we can catch up with the pictures. Under the utility rebate, of course, you all know what that involves. That's a BPU ratepayer. We did expand it so that it will include anybody in Edwardsville. And it's based on income, age, disability. Maximum rebate is $200. And we do have, most of our applicants do receive the full $200. We also have the sales tax rebate. Even if an applicant doesn't apply or doesn't qualify for the utility rebate, they can still receive the sales tax rebate as long as they are qualified. And we do have, this year, when I get to the actual statistics, you'll see the difference. Most people qualify for both, but we do have individuals who may not pay utilities. They still come in and get their sales tax rebate. And then we do our property tax relief from the state of Kansas. We have the homestead, which I'm sure everyone's familiar with. We have our Safe Senior, which can rebate up to 75% of the property tax back to our applicants and to our senior population. That is absolutely critical. It is huge for them. And then we have our disabled veterans and seniors based on a tax year. This program, the last one, is not very popular yet. I don't think very many people are aware of it. It could become more popular as taxes change throughout the system. Okay. What we find throughout the year is most people don't think about the rebate program until December. And when they come in to see us in January, they don't have all their documents. So what we're trying to do this year, and each of you should receive a flyer, we have some extra ones here, is we've prepared a flyer this year that says, if you want to apply for the rebate, start getting your documents now. We also believe that it's going to be harder to get some of those documents this year. Social Security disability letter, VA disability letter, that may not be as easy to get as it has been in the past. So we're encouraging people to start that process now so that they have the information. Anything that the commissioners can do to get the word out, we appreciate it. We also work with Council on Aging and some of our other partners throughout the UG that we are promoting the rebates. So how did we do last year? How did we do? What did we do this year? The number of citizens served. We served a total of, where did I find it? 1,480 individuals. Last year, it was 1,343. So we did have an increase. We're excited about that. I can say that the biggest increase, Commissioner Davis, you'll be happy to know, was District 8. It received the biggest increase in the number of applicants. Most of our commission districts remain pretty stable. Of course, District 1 is one of our biggest districts that we receive a lot of applications for. And you can also see the total, the UG rebate total, which is our sales and property tax, $465,000. Property tax rebate was a little higher this year, and that's what the state of Kansas pays. So it's not coming from the UG, $468,000 that was rebated back to individuals in Wyandotte County from our office. Total of $933,000. That is just an amazing number. And a little bit later, I'm going to mention a couple people here that do such a fantastic job on it. I know they're sitting behind me probably going, please don't. But they do, and they're very passionate about it, and they deserve the recognition for it. So this is a program from the clerk's perspective that we are very honored to be able to administer on behalf of the UG. So we also this year, well, not this year, there we go. 2 years ago, we decided it's very difficult to get to City Hall. The senior population and the disabled have a hard time getting into this building. And at one point, the entrance from the public parking lot was closed, so they had to walk all the way up the hill. That hill is very deceiving if you've ever walked it. It is a lot steeper than it looks. And we were able to get the parking opened, but also we went out into the neighborhoods. We started out initially going to Lee, to Eisenhower, to Armourdale, Argentine, and the Annex. And we found out the second year that some of our community centers didn't have a lot of population that attended, so we kind of pared it down. I think that Annex, Eisenhower, and Argentine are our three most attended, other than City Hall, of course. The attendance at each of those is increasing year to year. So I think people are becoming to understand that, hey, I don't have to go to City Hall. I actually have other places that I can go. I was just at an event with Commissioner Bynum last week, and one of our applicants came to me. She goes to Eisenhower every year. She's been getting her homestead done for 20 years. This year, she had a little bit of trouble. She got her homestead processed in February. She didn't get her check from the state until June. It was a mail issue, but we were able to help her through it, and she was just so thankful that she finally got her check. Commissioner Davis, at your event, which we attended, we had 12 people that we talked to. We were able to process 5 of those individuals. Unfortunately, none of them were from the 8th district, but we got them done. So it was very ironic. But we find it very helpful and to be out into the public. It makes a difference to them. It's also easier for transportation. They know their community center, they're familiar with it, and it makes a difference to them. So does the program really have an impact on the community? What is the story here? How are these dollars benefiting anybody? If you haven't read these comments, I would encourage you to do that, because these are comments that we receive all the time. People are so thankful to receive $200, $400, whatever it may be, that they tell us, you know, I can go buy meat now. I'm just excited that I can go buy some meat at the grocery store. I can feed my pet. I can get medicine. One person that does these rebates, I don't know how many times she's come back from offsite going, can we feed them? What can we do? What else can we do? How else can we help them? Because we just want to take them all home and make sure they have a good meal and that everything's, you know, that gives them a better opportunity. So yes, it is a worthwhile program. And I think this tells you the story of how much of a benefit this is. Our office is very passionate about it. And we will do everything we can, whatever the commission directs, to make this program as good as we can. What we will ask is that the commissioners help us in return. And you get the word out as much as you can, because that has proven to be so beneficial to what we do. We don't do it alone. The clerk's office doesn't work alone. We work with, I think I'm just gonna stop clicking. I'll let you do it. How about that? These are what we call our rebate superheroes. BPU is one of those. BPU works with us to help us make sure we have good information. If someone maybe doesn't have all their account information, we can call BPU, we work with them, and then we provide them a list of all of our qualified applicants so they can get that BPU pilot off their bill. And so they're a very good partner to us. 311 is an excellent partner to us. I didn't ask this year. Last year, they fielded over 300 calls related to the rebate program, just asking for information. When 311 does that, our office doesn't have to. And we're able to continue to service more people that way. They also schedule appointments for us. So they are extremely helpful through the program. Transportation, of course, provides free service for individuals that may need it. Building and logistics, make sure that we have signs and that we're out and about in the community and that we're all set up where we need to be. Technology, make sure that our equipment works properly. Parks Department provides us the space. Not only do they provide us the space, the caretakers at Eisenhower, and I'm going to brag a little bit here, the caretakers at Eisenhower and Argentine are some of the best in the world. They make sure if it's a cold day that heaters are on in the room where we're at so that the seniors can come in and they're not going to be cold. They make sure there's hot coffee, chocolate, sometimes cookies. It just depends on the situation, but they are so good at what they do. And of course, Area Agency on Aging, Linda Ramirez processes applications for us. And then the staff that you see here, and I'm just going to introduce them individually. There are 10 individuals that work in the clerk's office. 10, including myself. So 9 really. 3 of them are not here. They weren't able to be here. But we have Jennifer Washington, who's been with us for 18 years. Jennifer works at City Hall and helps all the citizens when they come into City Hall. She also does all of our ownership updates. Of course, you all know Brittany. Brittany handles the annex. She takes care of the annex where she's out there. Gerald Fillmore, poor Gerald. He doesn't do rebates, but he makes sure that the rest of us can, because he handles the mailroom during that season and makes sure that the mail is taken care of. So the rest of us can go out in the field. Huge for what we do. Debbie Hedrick is our tax levy manager. She has her hands full. And then we have Mai, who is our deputy, and you've seen her quite frequently. And then we have Janelle Smith, who is our records and mail division manager. Janelle is my passion. She is the one. Let me explain how passionate she is about this. She and I were at a visitation service for a coworker, and she saw someone who qualified for the application, and she went and spoke to them and made sure that they had the information. That's how passionate she feels about this program. And she always, she provides snacks for them. I mean, just everything you could possibly imagine. I don't know anybody that is more passionate than she is. We do still have some barriers. And I think the whole barrier is communication. Documents, language, and transportation all revolves around communication. We have got to find a better way to get the program out to people. The last 2 weeks of this year, 80% or more of the people that came in to get their applications filled out were first timers. They had never even heard about the program. That's concerning because we know that it is real. It's not a scam, but a lot of people feel that way. So we've got to do something better with communication, and we're going to work on that this year. Okay. That pretty well takes us through the rebate. It was a very good season. I think everyone participated a lot. If you have any questions, we can answer it or we can wait till the end. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and go now into what the clerk's office does other than attend meetings with you all, which we all happen to love, by the way. So what happens behind the scenes? I'm going to make a very bold statement here and tell you that the clerk's office is the heartbeat of the organization. With us, it doesn't work. And why doesn't it work? Because if we're not getting agendas ready, if we're not doing that, there's no meetings. There's no policy, there's no nothing. If we don't get the tax levy set, there's no gas in the car. There's just no money. So what we do is critical to the entire operation. And I think we do such a good job with the people that we have. 1,000 different responsibilities that are identified in the Kansas statutes for the clerk's office. I have not even attempted to read them all, but there are over 1,000 times. We do attend commission agendas and meetings. So far in 2024, 81 meetings. That's just commission and standing committee. Doesn't include
believe you.
anything else. 81, 176 hours of being in meetings. We prepare the minutes from those meetings, and I'm going to talk to you about that in a little bit. We do our webpage calendar updates, so we actually put the meetings on the news and events page of the UG calendar. That's our responsibility. We also do meeting notices for about 40 boards, commissions, and task forces. That's down to about 37 right now. And they are active all over. Some are weekly, some are monthly, some are every 6 months. It just varies. And now we're going to be adding the community benefits ordinance and our responsibility for that, which we're working on. So that's going to be new this year. We're excited because it's ground level and we kind of get to devise the program and what it's going to be like. So from the administration side, what are some of the efficiencies that we're working on? Standardizing the agenda format. I think it's easier for the public to understand that this is a unified government meeting if the agendas are similar. It doesn't matter if it's a board, a commission, standing committee, and I hope that you all have noticed that we kind of changed that format a little bit and rearranged some things to make it look like an agenda instead of a lot of stuff at the beginning, we put it at the end. We're working on that across the board. This is interesting, one Zoom link per year. So far in July, for all of the full commission meetings, we've had one Zoom link. I think it'll make it easier for everyone if we're able to do this, because you don't have to worry about what's the link for today. It will be the same. We would have a separate one for standing committees, of course. And we're working on summary minutes. Our ordinance says summary minutes. So we are working on it. We're actually working with Otter AI that's going to open up a lot of possibilities as far as what information you can see and how quickly you can get it. So we're pretty excited about that. That's from our administration side. If we go over to our tax levy side, this is where all the gas gets put in the car. 17 taxing entities. In case you didn't know that, there are 17 taxing entities in Wyandotte County that all report to the clerk's office. That includes whether or not they're going to go revenue neutral, what their mill levies are, everything. We have 4 cities, 6 school districts, community college, 3 drainage districts, the downtown Schmid, the county library, and we have 1 township that is not active, and that's Delaware Township. From that information, we create the annual tax rolls, which then goes to the treasurer's office who creates your tax statement. So yes, that's us doing all that. Again, you can see if it's not correct, if those numbers aren't correct, it's just not fun for us. And as the county clerk, which is what we are combined, we report to the state of Kansas. We have to send this information into the state. We go through an audit. We have to be certified. The state reviews it to make sure that it's accurate and correct. We have passed that audit every year. So we're very excited about that. 2024, first year that anybody in the county went revenue neutral. Nobody knew what that was going to do. We didn't understand it. We had 7 entities that went revenue neutral. This year we have 3. Big change. And every year the revenue neutral statute has changed every year. Some of the efficiencies that we're looking into, we are trying to work with the appraiser's office to all be on one system. Right now, we're on two separate systems. We're duplicating entry. You know, our office is pretty, I say that we're in a great position because we do sit through these meetings and we hear about, we need to be more efficient. We need to find savings. We need to do that. That's what we're doing with these initiatives. That's what we're trying to do. And all of the appraiser's office, the treasurer's office, the clerk's office, all being on one system where we don't have to duplicate entries. Yeah, that's a lot more efficient and reduces the amount of errors that would happen. And then there is a possibility of emailing tax statements. We're not there yet. But according to statute, it can be done. And if we can get on one system, imagine how much easier it will be for businesses if they get their tax statement via email instead of waiting to get it in the mail. So that's what our tax levy side does. And then our other division, because we do have three of us, is the Mail and Records Division. We are the Freedom of Information Officer. In 2024, we did all of our open records requests, 4,604, 111 sheriff's jackets. We have two facilities. This is another initiative that you'll see here. We have two facilities where our records are stored. We would love to consolidate that into one location. And we believe it's possible. It will take a little bit of activity on our part, but we believe it would be possible, and it will also save money because we wouldn't have to be paying rent on another facility. 962 boxes shred. Those are the end of their life cycle. We didn't just randomly choose them and say, we're just going to shred some documents. There is a process that we go through, and those were eligible to be shredded. That division also handles our mail. 96,000 pieces of incoming mail. That does not include inner office. That does not include packages. That doesn't include any of that. That is just regular USPS mail that is coming into this building every day. We are central location for the health department, city hall, courthouse, juvenile. And then we do receive mail for other divisions, but those are the four that we center on, and all of the mail for these four buildings comes into this office, and it's sorted here and dispersed. 7,589 packages. Same thing with packages, UPS, FedEx, Amazon, any package like that that comes into this building, we track it. We started that in COVID because it was very difficult to figure out if anybody was in the building. So we were able to track how different packages come in, and we know who picks it up. It makes it a lot easier. You'd be surprised a month from now when we get the phone call going, I was expecting a certified mail and I can't find it. We can look in our system, we can tell them who picked it up, and then they can track it within their own departments. But again, all four buildings, everything comes into this one. So some of the efficiencies that we're looking into here, we want to revive the Records Advisory Board. That's supposed to meet yearly. The members of that board are the Administrator's Office, Legal, Technology, and Purchasing. Again, that helps us with records and supplies and just kind of where we're at with the whole system. We would love to consolidate the records into one building. Makes so much more sense. And then we want to create a digital ordinance and resolution library. We do have that already started online. We have from 2004 forward. So if you're looking for a resolution or ordinance, it's out there. You can search it by name or keyword or date or anything like that. It's all available on our intranet, not internet. We had applied for a grant, which some of you may have remembered. Unfortunately, we didn't get the grant. Not this year. We're going to try again next year. That would have allowed us to continue that process. So we'll do what we can when we can, but I think having all of that online will make a difference as far as, I'm sure, for legal and research and things like that. That's the clerk's office. That's who we are. I always say we're small but mighty because we do a lot. So I'm happy to take any questions.
Well, you are small but mighty. And frankly, I think we knew, but this refresher of how much you are doing and the volume you are handling is really good for us to be reminded of that. It's really helpful, I think, to hear from you because this is one department. And look at everything that is occurring in your department. And it's just really helpful to me and beneficial for our, not only us, but for our community to hear and understand the complexity of just your department. So that is quite remarkable. Commissioners, any comments? Commissioner Ramirez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The one comment of the one efficiency I'm looking forward to, just because sure it'll save you guys a lot of time, is the minutes.
Oh, yes.
Just using summary minutes instead of verbatim. I have always thought ever since I was here, 5 years, I thought it was excessive. A little overboard having verbatim minutes. Because you look around at the other cities in the metro area, they don't do that. It's very straight to the point, give very bullet point what the discussion was, and then straight to what the vote was. And so I like that because it'll reduce work on you guys, reduce having to rehear all of our voices and our energized conversations over and over to get those minutes written up. But overall, thank you. I really do truly believe what you said, Monica, that you guys are the heartbeat of the organization. You guys are like you're the organizer. You keep everything and everyone organized and in the places they need to be. You keep definitely us on track when it comes to the agenda. So I thank each and every one of you and those who aren't present for all the work that you do. Again, clerk's office, just like the public health department, like the human services department, people know it's there, but a lot of residents don't know the actual work. As Commissioner Bynum said, all the work you actually do day in and day out. So just thank you. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Commissioner. And just as a point of reference, for every hour of meeting, it's 8 hours to transcribe. For every hour of meeting, it's approximately 8 hours to transcribe.
Oh, my Lord.
We are very much looking forward to summary minutes.
I apologize. I apologize for past comments I have made to make it much longer, but Lord, thank you.
That's remarkable. Commissioner, thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Kane.
It is extremely nice to have a department leader give credit where credit's due. I've been here 20 years and I can't remember the last time that's happened. So it speaks volumes to your boss, and she thinks the world of you folks too. And I have always, for 20 years, have been a proponent of all our employees wherever they worked. And maybe next time Commissioner Ramirez won't talk so much, it won't take so long. But we appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Hill and then Commissioner Davis, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to say to Miss Monica and her team, thank you for all the work that you've done, the late nights and all that. I just really want to take time out to say thank you. Thank you for your passion. I heard when Monica mentioned several who were so passionate, they went way overboard to make sure that our citizens were served. So I just want to say thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Davis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. If we can put the slide back up, I just want to point out one last thing as we conclude. Can we go to the slide with just the total allocation of dollars that went out? Because I think we kind of just brushed past that, and I mean, that is massive. Yeah, you got it. So compared to last year, Director Sparks, where just grand total wise, 933. I was hoping we would get $1 million, but I think next year we'll get $1 million out.
Me too.
But compared to last year, what's the difference?
Last year, the total was 891,000.
Wow,
This year, we're at 933.
that's huge.
And most of that was in property rebate increases.
It's so important. And I wish we were downstairs in the chambers Thursday night, just with far more people here to really understand what the benefit is, particularly for our seniors, for our low-income residents, for our disabled residents. That money that we've given out is more for that particular household than, quite frankly, what we could ever do by going revenue neutral or doing a broad tax cut. And I say that because these rebates, when we're talking 75% of your property tax bill, I wish we could do it. But we just can't do that individualized work. And you all have been so instrumental across the board in helping provide that relief to our residents. I would hope that at some point we would have some press release and we would give you all the credit where credit is due. When things go wrong at the unified government, you don't have to really say much. People will pick it up. I don't think we celebrate our wins. Enough. I don't think we talk enough about what you all do to help the most vulnerable in our community. We may come up with the ideas and budget, but y'all are doing the work day to day. And again, we are just, our community really is indebted to all of you. And so I'm thankful that you all worked with me on this crazy idea for the Senior Resource Fair. I didn't care that we didn't get anybody from my district because it happened. And we pulled it off. And I would hope in future years we get other colleagues and we'd go to Argentine, we'd go to Piper, we would kind of make this a rebate tour really of Wyandotte County to say, we want to help you. Because that is real relief right there, particularly for our most vulnerable. And so, again, thank you all so much. Y'all are greatly appreciated. I'm excited, quite frankly, what a year from now it's going to look like, because I know y'all are going to do some even more incredible work for the unified government and for our community. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much. All right, we appreciate you. Appreciate you being here to make the presentation and having your staff here with you. And that is the last item on this agenda. It was information only. And I would entertain, that's a new, I made up a new word. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
A second.
All right, roll call, please.
Roll call, Hill,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Ramirez,
Aye.
Kane, Bynum.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And we are adjourned. Have a great night.